Vipin is here. That's great. Introduction for myself. I'm Ramanuj from LawSikho, and I do this 9 p.m. talks on every weekday, basically. Saturday, Sunday, I don't do this. And 9 to 10 p.m. I talk about something important for lawyers, law students. And in today's session, I have invited Vipin Suree. So Vipin was my coach some time back, a few years back, and he wears many hats. He runs a self-improvement series, coaching series also called A Day Forward. But he spends most of his time working in the real estate industry. He's founder and co-promoter of a very large real estate advisory and brokerage company called Space Creator in Gurgaon. So he works a lot in Gurgaon. And the reason I invited Vipin today is because when you talk about the real estate industry, you hear a lot of people saying very negative things that even I have very limited understanding of real estate. I know a bit of real estate law, but as an industry, I don't know too much about real estate, but I am definitely curious. I have read a bit about it. So when I talk to Vipin, while most of the world is saying that real estate industry is terrible right now, it is totally down, there's nothing happening, it's hopeless, it's not working, there is no work in real estate. On the other hand, Vipin says very different things, right? So while he acknowledges that there are some differences right now, but at the same time, there are a lot of bubbles of prosperity and a lot of pockets of great work happening, and he's quite busy himself at the moment with a lot of deals, a lot of work. So I thought, sharing that with all of you is important. I wanted to bring that, that to you, that, where is the work happening? Because that's something that we do as a matter of theme. We always are writing about, where the work is. If you read our daily newsletter, you'll see we're writing a lot about where the work is, what kind of work you can do now, where the opportunities are arising. But beyond that, also another very important thing is that most of us are interested in real estate in some form or the other. We are curious about real estate, if nothing else, right? We want to, maybe someday you will buy real estate, maybe you already have bought real estate, maybe people who are buying or somebody in your family is buying. And to develop an understanding of what real estate is and how real estate investment works. And if you're a lawyer, then even better. So if you're a lawyer who's doing real estate work, right, you need to understand how real estate investors think and how they look at the industry, right? So of course you want to know real estate law, but today's session is not about real estate law, it's about the real estate industry, what the general outlook is, what can we expect over the next few years, who should be investing in real estate, how to do it right, what are the mistakes people frequently make while buying property and real estate investments and so on, right? So I'm looking forward to a really interesting discussion today. So let's welcome Vipin. Hi Vipin, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you Ramanuj. Thank you for inviting me on this platform. I'm also very happy that through this platform you're having some very meaningful discussions for people. And thank you everyone. Those of you who are right now watching Ramanuj and me live. So he's already introduced me. Real estate is my passion. And I work primarily in north of India, in Gurgaon, in New Delhi, Delhi NCR. But I do have plans of working overseas as well. I'm right now in the midst of, I would say, the foundational work to do a lot of real estate in Canada as well. And this is an exciting opportunity, Ramanuj, where you and I you can just come up with whatever questions you want to about real estate, especially in these times. Now, I want to give a disclaimer, Ramanuj, before we start. and this might come as a surprise to you as well. Now, these webinars, or I will say this webinar, may enhance your business, Ramanuj, or may enhance your passion or your, I would say, vision to reach out to people with meaningful topics.
Yes.
However, I know most of the people who are watching live right now, or most of the people who might tomorrow watch this on a recorded medium that you said, YouTube or something, would be looking for one thing. If they're here to know about real estate, a lot of people would be looking for only one thing, Ramanuj. They're not here to understand real estate. So those of you who are listening to me, you're not here to understand real estate. You're not here to understand what's good for you, what's not good for you. I know what you're here for. You have certain picture of real estate in mind already. And what you're looking at is for me or for Ramanuj to say something that validates the picture you have. That picture may be an opinion. That picture may be a decision that you've taken. That picture could be that I'm going to buy some XYZ and this is what I'm thinking about it. And one line if this guy says, it will validate me and I'll go back. Now, I know that's what you might be laughing, Ramanuj. That's why people are here. They're not here to understand real estate. They're not here to understand the basics of real estate, what can help them in the long run. So if you're here just to get validation for whatever opinion you may have, I validate you. And you can leave. You don't need to spend an hour with Ramanuj and me. So whatever opinion you have is great, is validated, it is valid. Okay. So you may leave.
Okay.
And the only reason you should stay is if you want to understand from an expert in the trade the nuances of real estate, what's good about it, what's the future about it, what not to do while investing, what to look for. If you want that level of understanding from an expert, then stay. You know, my family doctor, she's a very interesting lady. I went to her clinic, you know, this is about a year back. And outside she had a huge sticker saying, my diagnose, my medicine, 500 rupees. My diagnose, your medicine, 1,000 rupees. My diagnose, your Google search, 2,000 rupees. Your diagnose, your medicine, why you here? I found it so great. So when you go to an expert, listen to the expert.
Right.
So I want you to listen to an open mind and use whatever we have to make benefit for you. Because remember, real estate is the most expensive asset anybody ever buys. And some people get an opportunity to buy that only once in a lifetime. So use whatever we have with our experience to make a difference to that.
Sure.
Go ahead, Ramanuj.
Great. So let's start with the most obvious thing right now. So real estate industry is, of course, quite badly affected if you look at the big picture, because the idea is anyway real estate companies were affected because they had to stop their ongoing projects. All of a sudden they had to send their people home. They depend on migrant laborers. Laborer has got many problems they are facing, and they are already under a lot of pressure. Many real estate companies had gone bankrupt. In some places, real estate price had fallen, and now India having such a huge recession. Usually, real estate prices can be affected, and there is a general, struggle that the industry is going through. It's hard to deny that perhaps today. Like at least that is what, and you can see the listed real estate companies, the kind of results they are posting also are not great, and in the stock market, they in their declarations and all. So I wanted to understand from you that how you see, like as in your work in the market, how do you feel things are today, and where do you see them? In which direction are they going? Have the market hit rock bottom and it is coming back again? Is it swinging in the right direction? Is it going to be worse in the future? How do you see it?
Ramanuj, there are three ways I will answer this question.
Sure.
The first and foremost is that there are three things which will never ever go out from this planet, which is roti, kapda, makan. No matter what, they will never go out of fashion. They will always be required, and they are always here to stay.
Right.
Second way I will answer is, till say about 6, 7, 8 years back, anybody and just anybody could become a real estate builder. That is the biggest reason there was an opportunity for mischief. People used to procure land and they used to not even pay half the money there and start selling and then use that money to buy another thing. And there was no regulatory. If you go back to 1991 or before, there was nothing called Stock Exchange Bureau of India which existed. The stock market used to be functioning like,
Wild West. Anybody could do anything.
completely wild. And then in 1991, the Stock Exchange Bureau came in. And
Stock Exchange Board of India.
Stock Exchange Board of India. And now you see, over the past 29 years, it has been regulated. A lot of mischief has been done away from that market. There's so many regulations, and there's a controlling body which is looking at stuff. All the hanky-panky stuff is out of the business. Same way, RERA, which is Real Estate Regulatory Act, came into picture in 2017, which is about, I think, May or June.
Yeah, it has been like 3 years almost now.
3 years almost. Okay. Now, what is RERA? RERA is a regulatory body, a separate, I would say, body of people in every state, which is coming to picture, which is taking care of how the builders operate, how they sell, and how they deliver, which is making a lot of difference. Right now, what you've been seeing for the last 5, 6 years, so many developers going to NCLT and through bankruptcy and not delivering, it is end of an era. And after RERA coming in, it is beginning of a new era. Because now you can't just pay a little bit of money for a piece of land and start selling. You need to buy that land. You need to then get the license. Then you need to get the building
all the clearance.
You got to get the environmental clearance. You got to get the fire clearance. You got to have the real estate brokers enlisted. You got to have an escrow account. So all the money comes into that escrow account. You can't spend it elsewhere. Then you get a RERA number. And only after that you can begin selling the stuff. So it is going through a huge transformation in India. Huge transformation. So given that fact, the future looks very, very bright. Very, very bright. One, it is essential. Second, a regulatory body is there. Third thing, this lockdown and this pandemic has done wonders to real estate.
It's very interesting.
You may wonder what is he saying, but it has, when you come, see, I don't understand stocks. I don't understand how stock market works. But when you come on the court and you see the real estate prices, there's no discounting there. No prices have fallen. Nobody is willing to sell their piece of land or their piece of real estate at a low price. There are exceptions. There are some people who want to
There
sell.
are some people in distress, they have to sell.
Yeah,
So,
but
right.
not overall.
But do you not feel that there's a lower demand at the moment because people having less money or less confidence to buy? So demand side, there may be some problem.
While the lockdown was going on, and I would say for me, lockdown began ending in say June. Okay. And at that time, I was thinking the same, that I don't know how the real estate sector is going to react. I don't know how the investor is going to feel, because we had never seen something like this. We had never seen a situation like this ever.
Right.
So we couldn't guess. However, the surprising thing is, people are back on the street. They want to invest. 3-4 things have happened, Ramanuj. When people lived in their house, a lot of people saw that their house is small. They want to move to a bigger house. A lot of people living in joint family.
Yeah, this is very obvious. Correct. It's very important. You spent less time in your house earlier. Now you're spending your entire day in the house. So you can't anymore live in a small house. That's a big problem. Yes.
In Gurgaon, every real estate developer, whether they have ready to move in inventory or they are under construction, in the month of July, August and September, their sales are higher than the pre-COVID times.
Wow. Okay.
And even in the, I would say, the residential plots or apartments, or even in Delhi, the transactions are happening left, right, and center.
And there will be more demand for a bigger place than a smaller.
More demand for a bigger place. There are a lot of people who are living on rent. They don't want to live on rent anymore. There are a lot of people who are living in a congested city like Delhi. Then they say, I want a second home in Gurgaon.
Move out of Delhi.
A lot of, not move out of Delhi. They want a second home.
Okay. Why is that?
Lot of people in Mumbai want a second home in Pune or say Lonavala. Lot of people in these times are feeling we would have been better off having an apartment in Goa and shifting there, the way you're living in Goa right now.
Right.
So a lot of people.
But I would want to rent and not buy, like, because
you don't want to rent. A lot of people, in India are still very conservative from the old school. They want to buy.
Right.
Okay. Then a lot of people are seeing this as an opportunity.
Right. And
then a lot of people have, if you would have noticed, the gold prices have shot up like anything.
Yeah. In times of uncertainty that happens. Right.
So a lot of people want to put in their money. See, everybody's money is not disappeared. They want, they've understood there are only two things which are safe. One, real estate, and second, gold. 24 karat. So people are coming back to that. And a lot of the younger generation, say people between 25 to 35, didn't believe in buying real estate. After this pandemic, we are seeing a lot of younger people coming in as buyers. Right. And we ask them, I have a habit of interacting with people, asking people, they say, we were just putting our money in stocks, or we were putting in mutual funds, or we were putting in SIPs. We were not interested in putting any money in real estate. But during this pandemic, we realized that we want to put in money over here as well.
Right. It's also because the stock exchange is so heated right now. Even I have stopped investing in mutual funds and stocks for the last 6 months, because I think the market is irrationally pricey. It's like there's no connection with. It's like speculation has pushed up the price. It is disconnected with market reality. So I am not putting money anymore in stocks, because in my opinion it is too high, and at some time I believe it has to come down. So I'll rather hold my money in cash rather than investing at this point. So that may be the case with many other people also. So that brings me to this whole idea. Like, it's if you look at the prices in India and you compare it with even some of the biggest cities in the world, you'll see that we see that the prices in India seems to be very high compared to other places. Like, once you and I also had this conversation that you can buy some land in Switzerland much cheaper than here in a lot of places, and you can buy for the price of the price you pay for a flat in Gurgaon or Delhi, you might be able to buy a villa by the sea in Italy or something. So yeah, and it is true, right? So that's all. There are two things I want to point out. One is that today we have a generation of people who have become work from home, digital nomad. These things were some really rebellious people used to do, but now it is becoming the thing, right? And Microsoft, Facebook, everybody has given holiday to all the employees and said that no need to come to office for next 6 months, and maybe some people will never come back to office anymore. So now they have no need to stay in expensive San Francisco, small apartments, or even in Delhi, Mumbai also. They don't need to, in Bangalore, they don't need to stay in some dingy apartment. They can actually go to a tier 2 city or their hometown, or a lot of people are going back to their hometown and building their house, and stuff like that is happening. So do you think that would be a trend? Probably work from home is going to be a long-term trend. It will not end with this, because people are getting the tremendous benefits of working from home. A lot of people are not going to go back to office. So do you think that will impact the real estate market? Second question is that, however, people, why, do you think it's actually better to invest outside in real estate than in India if you are going to invest in real estate? Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on this? Because you also do work in Canada, like you said.
You came up with 3 questions, actually. I'll answer the first one first. The first one, you asked me that why are real estate prices so high in India as compared to, say, Switzerland or, say, Canada. That will always be there, Ramanuj. Try and understand. India is a very high-density population country.
Okay. Especially in big cities, is very high.
Especially firstly, we are the second largest population in the world, and very soon, I think another 10 years.
Our cities are most congested in the world.
And there are cities are most congested, and because the city are the business centers, say cities like Delhi, Mumbai, or say Gurgaon, or say Bangalore, now Pune as well. All these cities are where the maximum jobs are, where maximum corporates are. So these are congested. So the more the congestion, the higher the pricing. Even in the US, the New York pricing is very higher than something in Kansas. Even in UK, the London pricing is very high.
True, but then when you consider that a price in London and price in Delhi is more or less similar, then you feel like, given all the facilities, and I mean, London economy is much better, people's per capita income is much more, your apartment is low. Even then, if you generally in every country in the world, some 20-year mortgage rule is there. That price of real estate is usually equal to 20-year mortgage that you'll be paying. So that, and a 20-year, so equivalent of rent. So instead of paying rent for 20 years, you pay mortgage for 20 years and the house is yours. So people actually buy. But in India, that doesn't work. So in India, it will be like 100-year rent that you're paying, not 20 years rent.
It will always be there. Try and understand. India is a very conservative culture. It's a very different culture where real estate is equal to your status. Real estate is equal to your security. There are many countries.
So it's a cultural factor.
It's a cultural factor. So in many countries, people may not buy real estate for their entire life, and they spend their entire life in rented places and rented offices, and they're all right with it. But in India, you'll hardly find, there might be exceptions, but you'll hardly find people who don't want to acquire real estate.
Yes. They want to have their own house. Like my parents, they always wanted to have their own house. Yeah.
See, everybody wants an office, everybody wants a home, then they want a second home, then they want a farmhouse, then they want a rented property, then they want a second rented property. And once they get the habit of, getting rent from these commercial places. They have targets like I want 10 lakh rupees per month income, then 15 lakh, then 20 lakh. I have an investor who had an X target, which he met 5 years back. Now came up with another target, which he met 2 years back. Then came up with another target, which he met last year. Now he's saying, I have another target.
Okay.
So the culture in India is very, very different. So the pricing will always be expensive and it will go high. And still it is affordable for a lot of people. And especially with this government came up with the 𝘠𝘦𝘢𝘵 So there are a lot of affordable housing available around the big cities as well.
Right.
So a lot of people who couldn't buy real estate earlier are being able to buy. And one is that. Secondly, you asked me for work from home, and there is one person who's asked the similar question on the question answer. This thing, one of the audiences asked that what about MNCs vacating offices? How do you look at commercial real estate? You know, I'm a big fan of commercial real estate, and I have made most of my money in commercial real estate. And in fact, when I started investing in real estate myself, I began with commercial. Now, work from home, has it been accepted widely? Yes, it has been. Okay. Is work from home here to stay? Yes, it is. Will work from home will be in a higher percentage in the long term? Yes, it will be. Okay. But if you go back to pro-COVID or pre-COVID times, at that time also, Ramanuj, say about 2 or 3% of the workforce work from home. That will grow up to say 10-odd%. Currently, it's almost 90%, right? But that will grow up to after 6 months, say March or maybe June. After that, people will begin to come back to offices. Remember, home is home. An office is office. People don't go to office only to work. People go to office to socialize. Some people say, there's an old saying that man is a social animal. And if you remove social from this statement, what does it leave you? Man is an animal. So you and I need to go to office. It's a need for us to remain humans. So work from home will increase from 2% of workforce. It will go to 5 times, say 10%. But it won't be forever. It may be for 6 months, 8 months, a year. People has to come back. People have to be there. You know, I go and meet people who say, you know, this person is working from home. It was better when he was sitting there. I could just go to him, tell him, can you complete this job? He said, now I don't know where he is. He may say he's in a meeting, but I don't know. And my work is not being done. How do you handle that? You can't. And you can't have all those softwares having a hawk eye on the person, or this on the person, or that on the person. Are you getting what I'm saying? So all that can't happen. So work from home is there. It will increase, but it will not replace offices. So commercial real estate may struggle for 6-8 months or a year, but it's not disappearing anywhere. Especially in our country, Ramanuj, our population is huge. Huge. 140 crores is a huge population. And on that base, it is multiplying. Till 10 years back, there was no migration from other countries to India. Now there is migration as well. There are Koreans here, there are Japanese here, there are Chinese here, there are Germans here, there are British here. People are moving in as well.
Yes.
And over the last 2-3 months, one more thing has happened. a lot of foreign investment into real estate has started happening. People who have very big money, they look at these times very differently, which you and I cannot even understand. They just look at India's population and they see that if not today, tomorrow, this economy is going to go. They will come with 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 crores and just dump into real estate.
Right. And real estate speculation was not allowed earlier. Now it has opened up. Basically, the laws are such that you can do that now. Earlier, it couldn't be done.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Well, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Real estate, people have doubted real estate for years, and people have made most of their money from real estate.
Great. So let's come back to that. Come to that topic. So how to make money from real estate? So I am somebody who never invested in any real estate, and I had read up on this. How to make money from real estate. One thing I figured out from my research is that if you buy a really small studio apartment in India, which is actually cheap, then you can recover your money in some time and you can turn a profit. But it seemed that if you buy a big property, etc., it's really hard. Like it will take you from the rental property, rent, etc. Like I did some calculations how you have to pay taxes on the thing, you have to do maintenance. After 20-30 years, you might need major repairs. And, to actually make money from a property is quite hard. So, compared to, let's say, a stock market investment or so on. And liquidity is also an issue. How do you, if you need money suddenly, to selling a property is much more complicated, and you end up paying a lot of, if you want it as cash and you're not buying another property, then you end up paying a lot of taxes to the government, like 30% tax. So, 30% of your money is gone. So, overall, it didn't look like that great as an investment, but at the same time, it's a very popular investment in India. A lot of people are doing this. So, just wanted to understand from you how investment in real estate works. How does it make sense to a lot of people? It doesn't make sense to me, but open to learning more.
Very good question, and you put it so well. You put it so well. I'll tell you one thing prior to that. In between, you said it's very complicated in selling and all that. There's something which is new, which is happening, very few people may know. Now in Haryana, the entire Haryana, all the cities, all the real estate is now on the government computers. They're all electronic. So if you're sitting in Chandigarh and you buy something in Gurgaon, for the registration, you don't need to travel to Gurgaon. You just go to the Chandigarh authority and the seller can go to the Gurgaon authority. Everything, the registration will happen online. So all the records are there, and they made it even, earlier what used to happen when you used to buy real estate, at times you used to find out 6 months later that the seller hadn't paid certain taxes, or there are certain municipal taxes, or there's certain house tax, or there's some certain maintenance which is suddenly onto you, and then you'll go back to your broker or you'll go back to the seller and start fighting with them. However, now they made all that as a prerequisite before they can register a property. So everything has to be paid, everything has to be clean before the registration happens. So all that hanky-panky used to happen is gone.
Right.
So coming back to how do you make money from real estate? Firstly, you never buy real estate on an Excel sheet. When you buy real estate, you look at only 3 things: location, location, and location. If you look at your Excel sheet, you will never buy money. I have a video on one of my YouTube channels, on Space Creators channel, where I have reiterated one thing, that never buy real estate on an Excel sheet. You know, it is funny how the prices go up when they go up. It is funny how you make money when you make money. The right question would be what to look at while buying real estate.
Mm-hmm.
See, the most important thing to see is location. The second important thing is not to fall prey to a thing called ROI. ROI is return on investment. That this property is going to give me this ROI. If something is giving me 8-9% ROI, I'm going to go for it. If something is giving me 5 to 6% ROI, I will not go for it. Because bank is giving me that much and this is giving me that much. That is what I've been seeing for the last 4-5 years. People are falling prey to.
Mm-hmm.
This ROI business is what people are falling prey to. That is not the stuff to look at, people. What you need to look at is very simple. In case of residential, you need to look at what is the price of that area and are you getting the X property that you've selected at that price or not. Or approximately 2-3% or 5% up or low. When you're buying a commercial real estate, again, even if it is a rented commercial real estate, all you need to look at the current pricing of that particular area and that particular building. If you're getting it at that price, even if it is 3% ROI, it doesn't matter. And if you're getting it expensive, and even if it is a 12% ROI, you will never make money. You know, people have this greed of return of investment, and that's where they make a mistake. If they just choose the location and find out the price, it's not difficult to find out the price of a particular location. Ask 4 people, they'll tell you. And 2 to 5, 7% expensive also if you buy, you're not making a mistake. But if you go for this ROI business, that I want a higher ROI, you may end up in a soup.
Right.
And just go for the prime most location. I am a believer that if I'm looking at a real estate, say if I'm looking at, say, an apartment. You know, my apartment where I'm staying right now, when I bought this apartment, say about 13 years back, in this locality where I stay, it was about 6% more expensive than all the other apartments. 6 to 7% more expensive. And I bought it because I wanted the best of the best of the best of the best. It had the best view, it had the best parking, it had the best everything. I paid 6% extra. I knew it and I paid it. Today, the difference between this one and the other ones, which was 6% cheaper, is about 25%. The difference in pricing of this one and that one, 25%. So my advice is always, whenever you're going for something, buy the most expensive real estate of that area. You'll never go wrong. It's not expensive without a reason. It is expensive because it has certain qualities which everybody would like. So it will always be in demand and it will always fetch you the best price.
So, okay, so there's a question on that vein. Somebody's asking, I am a lawyer with 5 lakh of liquid assets. Is there I can do something in real estate?
I would say 5 lakh for real estate is a very, is not sufficient money. You should not. You know, if 5 lakh is what you're looking at, you should not venture towards real estate, because you will not find a great asset, and you will not get any appreciation on that level of asset.
So there's a threshold from which you should start investing. So what
there's a threshold in today. See, it depends where you're investing. The best investments are always in the bigger cities. You know, and also, Ramanuj, it also depends that how much horizon do you have. You know, if you're just 25 years old or 23 years old, and if you're looking at a 20-year-old threshold, you can buy an agricultural land somewhere as well. That's also going to grow in 20 years. But if you are a little older and you're looking at, okay, I want to be in the bigger city, something like a Delhi or a Gurgaon, you should look at least, say, 60, 70 lakh plus.
Right. And what kind of property do you get for that?
See, in 60, 70 lakhs, you can also go for affordable. Affordable will be much cheaper as well, say 25, 30 lakhs. You can also go for the studio apartments that you were talking about. Studio apartments are very, very popular in Gurgaon. You know, they're much popular than hotels, because there are very few hotels in Gurgaon. And lot of corporates traveling for business here. So studio apartments fetch very, very good rentals. And you can also go for some pre-rented commercial real estate as well with that kind of money. You know, office spaces rented to big ticket MNCs, which are working from home as of now.
Sure. And shops also perhaps could work.
Shops, yeah, some shops, some daily need shops in some of the societies come for that kind of price. They always certain, you always get the rentals that you saw during lockdown as well.
Yes, sure. Yeah. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So, you know, what are the common mistakes people make while making real estate investment?
The biggest mistake people make is they use an Excel sheet to buy a property. You should go by the gut. Go and see the place. I'm telling you, your gut plays the biggest role. Go see the place. If you get the feel of the place, you love the place, buy that. You'll never go wrong. The other mistake which people make is going for this ROI business. I said it earlier. See, you know, companies are very smart. Developers are very smart. They look at, okay, what are people looking at? Okay, they are looking at higher rate of interest or higher ROI or returns and everything. So they will develop products like that. But whatever higher returns they are giving, that will always be built in the cost. And then they would try and squeeze for the pricing. Remember one thing. If a 24 karat gold is worth 50,000, that's the price, right?
Right.
And if you are the seller, you're the jeweler, I come to you and I push you to give me that at 45,000, what will you do? Tell me what will you do.
I will not sell, or I basically I will not sell to you at all. But there may be people who will do some jol to, you know, make it worth it. Right.
That's all that there is. See, something is not expensive without a reason. It has a certain price because it holds that value.
Correct. No, this happens to me all the time, that people come and say that, you know, your course is expensive, you are charging 30,000 for a course, somebody is charging 3,000. I'm like, please go and buy the 3,000 rupees course. When you don't get result, you come to me again, then we'll talk again, right?
Ramanuj, so, the same theory goes for real estate.
For anywhere. And a lawyer also knows this very well, that if somebody comes and tells you, okay, you charge 10,000 rupees for drafting a contract, but I'll do it for me for 5,000. Then you have to essentially spend less time, or you have to do a sacrifice which you don't want. So that in real estate also, so you get it, right? So this bargain hunting leads to big problems, right? Okay. So one thing that I wanted to ask you here is also that
somebody has a very interesting question. Somebody saying, what if I have 5,000 square feet and another piece of around 8,000 square feet plot in prime area? How to develop if don't have money for construction? Very simple, go for collaboration. So there are many people right now, collaborations in especially prime properties are very in, because as property is getting expensive, you have the land, I put in the construction money, and we do a joint venture and we split the profits. Go for joint venture. They will be takers. Always will be takers. In fact, there will be more takers for joint venture than there will be for buying your property at the right price at which you want to sell.
Correct. And joint development agreements are done to do these things, so that
you guys know it better than I do. you joint development agreement all the time.
Right. So that's a way. And then somebody is asking that I have 80-90 acres of agricultural land in Bihar. I am still in my 20s. So should I refrain from selling those? Is there any chance that prices would go up? I don't see much potential.
My friend, don't sell it. You're in your 20s. Earn more money and make some more real estate elsewhere. This, I'm sure you must have inherited.
I have.
Sell it.
My advice will be, make sure that you don't get squatters in your this thing. Make sure you're protected, boundary and everything.
Get boundary in there. Get your documentation in place so that it is in your name. Use it for agriculture.
Make sure there are no squatters. That is the biggest danger.
Yeah, make sure there are no squatters. Very, very important. And anyways, the agriculture bill has been passed. I think a couple of days back.
Yes. Just on Saturday, I think.
It's
a game changer. But in Bihar, anyway, there was some wasn't there that Mandi APMC was scrapped from Bihar even before. But yeah, you can look for people who want to use that land for agriculture, rent it out from you or something.
Yeah, don't sell
big
it.
MNCs.
You're in your 20s, my friend. You're blessed.
Yeah.
Hold on to it. But make sure the documentation and everything is very clean. You have it in your name. Get it checked. Get it mutated. Whatever you need to do from the local lawyers, get that done. Do not sell. Hold on to real estate.
There's a question. There's a comment. There's a question from Sushil, who's a regular attendee, saying he's a lawyer. So he's saying that don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings, but generally the problem with having a speaker from the industry, especially one with a vested interest, is that she is unlikely to be neutral. It's like the mutual fund guys who always talk about buying stocks, but never sell it. So yeah, I think it's a fair question. I mean, I know
it's a fair question. It's a fair comment. It's not a question. So he doesn't have a question. He made a comment.
It's a comment, yeah. But it's a concern, I think. Yeah, he wants something.
But this is Sushil, right? Sushil, if you have a question around that, definitely. But I understand your concern. It'll always be there. But tell me one thing. If I will not be pro what my profession is,
then why are you doing it?
Then why am I doing that?
Yeah, it's like somebody saying that, Ramanuj, you say that lawyers are lawyers are useful. You should hire a lawyer in such situation. But lawyers are very bad. I have lawyers are not good. I had this bad experience, that bad experience with a lawyer. So then
there will be bad experiences everywhere. There will be bad experiences in law. There will be in real estate, with doctors, with CAs, with anything, and everybody. If you there's a chartered accountant friend of mine. When I sit with him and I just talk to him about certain things about his profession, what I realize every time I sit with him, that how less am I utilizing his services?
Mm.
If I can utilize his services a bit more, I would have, it would benefit me. Same thing, today one of my, in one of the bank accounts that I hold, my relationship manager got changed. So she called me today to introduce herself. And she told me about certain things about my bank accounts, which I had completely ignored. And my experience is, Ramanuj, every time a relationship manager from the bank calls, I learn a couple of new things and I'm benefited. So they will talk about banking. I will talk about real estate all the time. Why won't I?
And they'll talk about their products. Yeah,
everybody will. Otherwise, what am I doing with my this thing?
Yeah, but I think the solution, Sushil, is to ask incisive questions, ask the important questions. Sushil, in fact, wants to speak up. So I'll just, I'll give you permission to talk. Sushil, what I'm saying is that, it's important to ask questions to find out your truth, right? So I know Vipin for many years now and I have immense respect for him, but even because still I have not ever invested in any real estate, right? So, I want to learn more about the industry and understand.
I've never even asked you to, even once, have I?
Yeah, you never asked me, right? But then I came and said that, why don't we talk about it? It's in an interesting topic. I want to learn more about it, right? So when I see that, so many people are buying real estate, surely they are thinking something. What is the trend? Why is it happening? What's their logic, right? And it's not necessarily just because a lot of people are doing it, something is there, they are right and I'm wrong. But at least the right thing is to inquire and understand. Whatever I don't understand, I should try to understand. That's my approach.
Very good.
Sushil, what do you want to say? Please go ahead. I've given you permission to speak.
Yeah, Ramanuj, see, 3 points. One is, like you just gave the example of bankers calling. See, the problem is nowadays, everywhere we have to be on our guard. The opposite side doesn't have our best interest in mind. So when my relationship manager calls me, they're always trying to cross-sell some product which I don't really need. They see what is my bank balance and then they figure out, okay, this guy's got money, let's try and sell him this product. This is what is happening. They're not really giving me the best advice, okay? It's happening everywhere, okay? And secondly is, Ramanuj, you had a webinar a few days ago, if you remember, about the trends because of COVID. And what we were discussing in that webinar is just diametrically opposite of what we are discussing this evening. We were talking about people fleeing the cities in droves.
Which is why when I spoke to Vipin
about commercial real estate crashing,
so
offices being deserted. Okay. So, and I believe, I agree with what you said.
Yeah, I have given up my office. I was for 6 months, I was paying for my office. I was paying the rent despite not using it. This month we decided to give up on it, right?
Yeah.
But see, what I'm trying to say here, Sushil, is that there are different truths. Okay, like on one hand, it is true that there is a trend that deserted offices, a huge inventory being built up in big cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, with the builders that they are not able to sell. At the same time, there can be a truth also that there are places where things are selling very well. And these things, see, there are, how do I say, there are, let me use a legal example, right?
Yeah, there could be pockets of demand somewhere. I get it.
Exactly, that is what you have to discover. So what do I say to people? Like, people come and say, oh my God, I have no work. There is no job in the market. Freshers are not being hired. Okay. People are not doing litigation anymore. They're waiting for a better time when they'll have a little more cash or more certainty, etc. Right? But at the same time, I can assure you that I have placed so many students, freshers, into jobs during the lockdown. Okay. I have got people jobs, very well paid jobs, better salary than their previous jobs. Our students have got. Every single day we are referring 3-4 matters to our students. Like, even today, just today, we have referred 2-3 matters. If you are part of our group, every day we are referring. And sometimes we are not finding lawyers. Okay, we have 6,000 lawyers all over India. Still, we needed a domestic violence lawyer in Gandhinagar yesterday. We couldn't find it. Okay. So it is true that people are desperate for work in the legal industry. Is it not true? It is true. At the same time, we are not able to find lawyers to give the work, somebody to do it. This is also true. Okay. Now, you make money because of contradictions. If perfect information was there everywhere, then the world will be very different. But there is information asymmetry, right? So it is very important for us to talk to experts and understand where that information asymmetry exists, right? So I am talking to Vipin because if I figured, if when I was talking to Vipin, he said, Ramanuj, the business is down, nothing is happening. And yeah, this is consistent with the broad trend. There's nothing to talk about with Vipin. I'll not invite him for this webinar. But when I spoke to Vipin, I realized that he is very busy. His work has not stopped. There is more work he's doing. So that is worth learning more about. Now, what would help us further is to ask him incisive questions. If you're not satisfied with something, it makes sense that you ask those questions. That how is it possible? Why is it happening? If people are asking for a second home, why are they asking for a second home? There must be a logical explanation. If there is not, then why should I listen to you? Right? But it has to make sense.
Ramanuj, I got your point and I absolutely agree with you. And I also have no doubt about Vipin's intentions. But my broader point was just that, you see, you have a lot of young lawyers over here with meager resources and just starting off in their careers. My point of view again, I don't expect anyone to agree with me, but probably give them advice that it may be better to wait and watch rather than start investing now.
See, why to tell them what to do? We will give them answers, information from both sides and leave it to them to make a decision, right? So half the time, I have so many times on these things, I have said, don't invest in real estate, like you said, right? But my idea is to expose people to all sides of information and we trust their intelligence to make a good decision, right? But your wording is fair enough.
Yeah, see, my intent is also the same.
Yeah, wording is fair enough that,
Sushil, thanks. Sushil, thanks for asking these questions.
Yeah, thank you.
And I also said
it gives us an opportunity to clarify also.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Sushil. And one person, one of the participants asked, I have 5 lakh rupees, where should I invest? I just said, no, don't. In my industry, I'm known in Gurgaon that a lot of people come to me to sell their property. I tell them, don't. A lot of people come to me to buy. I said, no, you don't need to buy, don't. So it's not that I tell them real estate is good or bad. I tell them according to their need. Do they actually need to buy? Do they actually need to sell? And they don't understand. I know it is unheard of in our, I would say, trade. But if I don't find it suitable for somebody to buy or sell at that time, I tell them don't do it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I just wish all the others were like you. Thank you.
There are a lot of people like me. Okay. But not many. Yeah. One very interesting question here, Sushil. One more person has asked, what is the future of valuers in real estate? Very, very good. The future is bright. Very, very bright. And you should take up
for that?
Valuer, real estate valuation. One more thing you can take up is due diligence for lawyers. You should take up due diligence of real estate.
This is one question I wanted to ask you. Yeah, that there are so many issues that people are facing after buying a property. It's very common that we were discussing today. There was this project. There are this buildings in coastal in Kochi, and they were destroyed. Supreme Court ordered that they have to be destroyed because they fall within the coastal zone, and that where nothing is allowed to be constructed. But it was built, and it was permitted by the local government. Everything happened, and then many years after people are living in those houses, so many years later, it was demolished on Supreme Court order. Now, some people may say, "Oh, this is a freak accident. This normally doesn't happen." But the truth is that when you are buying, putting your life savings in a residential property. You don't want to risk such things. So I was asking Vipin that, how do you think people can save themselves from such things? And that is when we talked about due diligence.
People, Ramanuj, people who are buying real estate, my big advice to them, whether it is a 50 lakh property, 50 crore property, doesn't matter what the price is, get the due diligence done. Hire an expert, hire a lawyer. I know a few clients of mine who will not buy anything without getting a due diligence done. Despite, I may call myself an expert, but at times for many projects before selling them, I will go to the developer and I'll say, okay, I understand you have RERA, I understand you have everything, but I need to get a due diligence done from my lawyer before I go ahead and sell it. So it is one of the most important things. Before you invest, get the due diligence done from a lawyer. A lawyer, a real estate lawyer who understands of that specific state, how it works. Get it done. And that's a good a career opportunity for young lawyers as well. I'm telling you that the need is going to get very high because people are now getting educated about it. Now they are understanding that given we are investing in crores, it doesn't matter if we spend a few thousands.
Right. So it's very important, and it's not, due diligence does not mean just checking registration and previous ownership. It means
there are many
actually
things.
Doing
Only a lawyer can look at all the aspects of it.
A full legal due diligence. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Okay, so wanted to ask also, from the real estate industry, you must have worked with a lot of lawyers over time. What's your experience and what kind of lawyers are preferred? What is it that lawyers should be doing to be the favorite lawyer of a realtor or a builder or people who investors, regular real estate investors? So what would be your advice to lawyers?
To lawyers, where they should look at investing in real estate?
No. I'm asking that, you must have worked with a lot of lawyers in different times doing real estate work, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of lawyers do real estate investors or, builders prefer to work with, right? So one thing is that, obviously a lawyer who knows this trade and competent and all of that being assumed also are there. What is the difference? If you can remember some lawyers that you really like working with or you really trust, what is different about them?
Very good question. What is different? One thing is, there are two kinds of lawyers. There are certain lawyers that will say, okay, this will not work. Don't go ahead. It won't work. And then there's another lawyer who will say, okay, 9 out of 10 things are all right. We can move ahead. However, I want this 10th thing to be done. And then we'll move ahead this way.
You get the somebody who comes with a solution. Right.
Somebody who's coming with a solution. But if a solution isn't there, which I don't think so. If there is a piece of land, if there's a piece of real estate, the solution is always there. Somebody who's coming up with the solution, no matter how difficult that solution is, then it is upon the buyer and the seller to adhere to that, so that the transaction can be worked upon. I think somebody who can.
So your advice has to be something that makes the commerce possible.
Yeah, something which, that's why I will appoint a lawyer, right? Make sure that my investment is secure and to make sure that the transaction goes through. Because I've liked the real estate, that's why I'm appointing you.
Right, so that's very interesting. And what are some of the things that you have, seen in lawyers and then decided not to work with them?
Decided not to work with them? No, Ramanuj, I won't say that. Whosoever I have come across, at least, whichever lawyer I have come across, mostly have been solution finders, except maybe a couple of them. But most of the people I have loved working with them. They've always come up with a solution.
Okay. Where do you think a lot of work real estate transactions happening in the future? Like, in the earlier, going forward, you think that these are the transactions that will happen a lot. Like you said that there will be foreign direct investment into
foreign investments are happening. So one big, worldwide, if you see, whichever cities, the cities are made of migrants. Whichever cities are made of migrants are the cities which always see a lot of boom in real estate. Gurgaon is a city of migrants. It's not that I'm working here. Gurgaon is something which is doing very well. Pune, I would say, has been doing well for last few years. It will for the next few years as well. Bangalore,
Hyderabad had one of the fastest growth.
Hyderabad has been doing very, very well. Bangalore is also another one. Mumbai has always been the crown prince, will remain. So these big cities, including earlier there used to be 4 big cities. Then Gurgaon started doing well. Ahmedabad, Pune, Hyderabad, all these cities are doing well. And given this, the farm bill which has come along, how this will pan out, we don't know. We are yet to see how this will pan out. This might be a big opportunity.
But it will be very important.
Yeah, it will be very important.
How do you think it can become a big opportunity?
See, I haven't studied the bill completely. I haven't put my mind to it. However, I still see, we will see a lot of international players and we will see a lot of corporates getting into the farming sector. And see, agriculture is a huge industry in India, and it can be, if this is corporatized, this can boost the economy in a big, big manner. We can really utilize our agricultural industry in a big manner.
Yeah. So I just want to share a very interesting fact that I came across, and it could be a game changer. So Netherlands is, in its entire area, is smaller than Delhi NCR. So it's 48,000 square kilometers, whereas Delhi NCR is 51,000 square kilometers. And Netherlands is the second highest food exporter in the world after America, USA. And we are the 11th. We used to be the 16th. In the last few years, we have come up to 11th. Okay, but Netherlands is exporting like 10 times more food than we do. Okay, that tiniest country, right?
Yeah.
So you can understand, like, and it's high time. Like, it's how we have a lot of people doing agriculture. It's said almost 50%, 40%, different numbers float around that. These many people are involved in agriculture in India. But all these people basically are doing extremely inefficient agriculture, right? Because there is no technology, there is using a lot of water, they are cutting trees because they need more land for a little bit of production, right? And we don't need that. We, given the amount of agricultural land we have, it can be very efficiently using technology with advanced technology, huge amount of production can be done, which will be more safe for human consumption. We have a big problem of, we are eating so much pesticide, so much, all chemical fertilizers harming us. There's no vitamin in the food, lot of problems. So all of that can be sorted out with a very advanced kind of thing, and then we'll be able to export, because today a lot of our food export doesn't even get accepted. The shipping is returned because it is not of the consumable standard. We consume it, but those advanced countries don't consume it. And so that is a huge problem, and we have to solve it. We cannot go on like this because farmer poverty has reached rock bottom. There is no capital. Where do they get the money to do this again and again? And they are bearing all the risks. So the farm bill is changing all of that. And one thing I can clearly see is that there will be a lot of rich farmers going forward. Farmers will get, even if they do not do it as a business, right? Today a farmer is forced to be an entrepreneur. He may not have any entrepreneurial DNA, right? To take risk and make money from it. But tomorrow that person might be getting a job in somebody else's farm, and like in a proper organized job in an MNC types, right? MNCs might be doing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's such a bad thing, right? And but definitely in the potential in India's agricultural sector is to do 100 times more production, right? So if that happens, then definitely real estate demand will go up, because even those people would want to have better real estate. They will want to, a lot of land will be freed up. Today, all of the land that is being used for agriculture may not be even required, right? So
then our friend Mr. ABCD, who has 80 to 90 acres in Bihar,
yeah,
he will be a rich man.
yep, absolutely, right. So great. I think it's 10:15. Time to more or less wrap up. There's one question that I've received that also we should have answered, is that how would you compare real estate investment with stock market investment? So these are, I think, the other popular choice of people. So anything you want to say on that?
It's a very popular question which I keep getting in now and again. One thing, we can't compare the two at all. You know, they are two very different investments. You have very different mindsets. Firstly, stock market, more easily liquidable. The entry and exit barrier doesn't exist. You know, stock market, you can enter with 10,000 rupees also, 5,000 rupees also, 2,000 rupees also. Okay, and you can exit very quickly also. That is not there in real estate. Okay. Then the uncertainty is much higher in stock market. Okay. And the knowledge required is very vast, which you don't need that much knowledge to buy real estate. Okay. And two very, very different investments are. Most people have both. Most people invest this thing. Stock market is pure about money as well. And real estate not necessarily may be pure about money. It may be about status. It may be about different uses. It may be about where you can start a new business. You can get into construction, or you can get into agriculture now. So very, very different, diverse products, both real estate and stocks. Stocks is a more mature market now because of the regulatory body being there for about 30 years. Real estate is still nascent because the regulatory body is only 3 years old. So we have a long way to go with real estate in this country.
Right. And where do you see most of the disputes happening today in the real estate industry?
Where now I don't see many disputes anymore. Okay. Because the laws are changing, the regulatory is changing. The disputes only happen if there is something hidden. If you haven't done the complete due diligence, and then later you get to know that what you were shown is not it is. You know, there things are hidden. So disputes only happen because in the beginning, when you stitched the deal or you entered into the deal, you didn't get into the complete knowledge of the paperwork and everything. If you can do that in the beginning, before exchanging the money, then the chances of the dispute are very, very, very minimal.
There's a question on, if I'm trying to invest my money, should I invest in commercial property or residential property, or what is better and how does it work?
So there is no better or worse. Both are equally good. Investing in residential is simpler because it is a less dynamic property. You know, piece of plot, you can't go wrong. An apartment is the way it is. Commercial investing in commercial property is a science, but when you're investing in a commercial property, the most important thing, other than location, which you have to see, is the quality of the building. Because a good quality building at a good location mostly gets leased out versus a bad quality building in a good location. All right, everybody. I think Ramanuj has logged out or missed out. I'm not sure. So I think that's about it. It's 10:20, and it's been great chatting with all of you. And you can still keep your questions coming in if you want. You can connect with me. My name is Vipin Suree, and I'm on Space Creators, Gurgaon. You can find me on the net. You can find my company and anything you need to know. And the most important thing I want to say to the group of lawyers who are present here, that your requirement in real estate sector is very, very important, and it's going to grow in the future as well. So thank you very much for attending that, and bye-bye, see you. Thank you, Ramanuj, you're not here, but I'm thanking you on behalf of everybody, and thank you for inviting me, and keep doing these great webinars.